Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Once again, I'm Keshvi, and I'll be your host for today. So, we all have gathered here to observe World Clinical Trial Day, that is observed on 20th of May every year. And firstly, I'd like to welcome Dr. G.D. Gupta. He'll be joining us shortly. Principal, cum director, ISFCP, and Dr. Saurabh Kose, head of department, Department of Pharmacy Practice, esteemed staff members, and all the students present here. I welcome you all. So, we are here to observe the clinical trial day. Now, this year's theme was Rethinking Clinical Trials, Inclusivity in Practice. So, here we are reminded that science is not just about innovation, it's about inclusion, diversity, and access to all the people, irrespective of their background. So, now I'd like to introduce our guest speaker for today. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Jayant Rai as our esteemed guest for today's webinar. We welcome you all, sir.
Thank you very
Miss
much.
Dr. Rai holds an MBBS from SN Medical College, Agra, and has completed his MD in Pharmacology from Government Medical College, Surat. He has presented multiple papers and posters at national and international conferences with notable work on anti-epileptic drugs and drug delivery systems. Currently, he is serving as an assistant professor at the Department of Pharmacology at Maharishi Devra Baba Autonomous State Medical College at Uttar Pradesh. Dr. Rai brings with him a rich blend of clinical, academic, and research experience, and we're honored to have him today with us. Now, without any further delay, I'd like to call Dr. G.D. Gupta, sir, for, for starting this webinar. Please, sir, a few words from you.
Into the top. So, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, good afternoon, sir. First of all, I welcome today's very dynamic guest and speaker, Dr. Jayant Rai ji, being a director of this institute. This is our moral duty to welcome all these dignitaries present on this platform, ISF College of Pharmacy. Sir, this ISF College of Pharmacy was established in 1984 as a diploma, and we have started the graduate program in 2000. At present, this is the one of the premier institute in the North India, and this is the only institute in North India running postgraduate program in the 9 branches, sir. And we have the 25th rank in the NRIF, and we have this institute is the autonomous institute in the pharmaceutical sciences, and we are the NAC accredited A grade college. So in this institute we are running D Farm, B Farm, M Farm in the 9 branches, Farm D PB program, as well as we also running with the B Farm practice. So these program, most probably all programs approved by the Pharmacy Council of India, and our research team is doing the excellent work. Sir, just I want to give one information. First time our team invited by the DMC Medical College for the interaction, and this interaction related to the what types of the research where we are going on over here. Our research team is the working in the different field. In the recent year 2024, our faculty member published 150 research paper with impact factor of 590. So this is the one of the biggest achievement of our the research team, and we are the running of the PharmD program. In the PharmD program, 22 states student they are studying in the different field. So without taking time, I again welcome you, sir, and I know that today's session it will be the very helpful one of the pharmacologist among us, and this is direct related to the PharmD program of the clinical trial, clinical practice, and need to do, because being a pharmacist, we have some of the deficit time, or we can say as per the curriculum, we have the less activity related to the hospital. But Pharmacy Council of India, regularly doing the work in this field and try to the increase the contribution of in the health profession of the family student. So obviously coming days it will be the bright future of the family student. So I hope that each and everyone listen carefully, and this program is the online mode and recorded program is the also. So if you have any types of the query, any types of the question, you can send on the chat box, so that without any disturbance our organizing team member, they will take your question at the end of this session. So thank you very much, whole of the organization team, to provide this opportunity to interact in the today's session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. For and I'm very happy to know that this much of activities are going on in your college, and you people are doing a great job. And I'm happy to getting collaborated with you people for this today's session. And as we all know that as a clinical as a pharmacologist or a pharmacist, clinical trial play a very important role in our career, because we are in one or other way are involved in some clinical trials or some study related activities, thesis, and doing research type of activity for our promotions or for our academic growth. So it's very good to know all these things from you. And my best wishes are for with your institution and all the faculty members, so that you can grow and grow a little bit higher, go higher. And as you said that you are in North India, you have a big impact. I would like to convey my best regards and congratulations to you for this achievement, and hope that you will cover. A day will come when you will tell, and your organization will tell that you have the impact over all across the country, not only the northern
Thank
part.
you, sir. Thank you.
Uh, yeah. So can we start the session?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So how can I?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How?
So there is a share option, sir. Share screen. The third one from the left one. There is a box arrow. Select it, sir. Then you will be having an option of choosing the window. And the screen will be shared, sir.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible. Please move the slides, sir, so we can make sure that the slides are moving on. Yeah, sir, it is moving and you are very visible and audible. Please go ahead, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So as we know that today this presentation is basically for international to celebrate International Clinical Trials Day. And I would like to convey my best regard to all the people who are involved in clinical trials in one or other way. Whatever role they are playing, they are doing great job, and they because of this type of role we have in clinical trials, we are helping patient indirectly, but we cannot say that this indirect has no contribution, because we have a lot of impact on the opportunity provided by the new drug development or the new drugs or therapy module we develop every year in different therapeutic scenario. So it's always good to be part of research whenever we get any opportunity to participate in any kind of research, either as a volunteer or as a patient or as a research academicians. We should try to incorporate ourselves in that module. So now coming to the theme of the International Clinical Trials Day for 2025, it is Rethinking Clinical Trials, Inclusivity in Practice. So I would like to introduce myself. I am Dr. Jayant Rai. I have done my MBBS and MD and in pharmacology, and currently working as assistant professor in Department of Pharmacology at Maharshi Devrah Baba Autonomous State Medical College, Devariya. And I have also worked in pharma industry for 2.5 years. and that while being into the pharma industry, I was very much close to this kind of clinical trials going on, and I have been observer in some places like MMC Delhi and CMC Ludhiana as an observer in a clinical trial. So I would like to move forward and coming to the introduction of clinical trials. So what is basically a clinical trial is? It is basically a type of research in which we do study about new tests and treatments to evaluate their effects on the human health outcome. So various human disease are there, and we need to tackle these disease via developing drugs, and there are so many drugs are in the market also. So when we have to plan a clinical trial, it should be very carefully designed, reviewed, and completed so that what objective we are planning for with that clinical trial should be met. And one thing we should take this in mind, that before starting any clinical trial, it has to be approved and before the enrollment of the first patient. Not only test and treatment, but any medical intervention, whether it is with a drug or any biological product or any surgical procedure, radiological procedure, any medical device, behavioral treatment, or preventive care. Not only therapeutic, but preventive aspect also need to go through clinical trials. And we should try to inculcate all the ages of patients in the clinical trials, including children. And we should try to motivate people to volunteer and take part in the clinical trials, as more and more number of people are getting enrolled in any clinical trial will impact its objectivity, and also it will be more trustworthy if we have better sample size. So this is, in this slide we can all see that development of drugs has role by the biomedical research, technology, health, impact on the health and volunteers, medications, analysis, security of the data which we are dealing with, efficacy of the drug which we are planning to launch and we are doing with the clinical trials, and group of researchers and those placebo group, they are all playing a very important role in completing and running the clinical trials. So if we talk about medical progress, clinical trials are serving as a bridge between scientific discoveries and effective treatment for patients. If we are developing our trials and doing it in a such way that whatever discovery we are having with the scientific domain and it is not communicating with the patient, and we are not giving it appropriately to treat the patient, then that clinical trial doesn't has any sense. So this, in order to provide effective treatment, we should try to meticulously design studies, and in that study what essential things are: evaluating the safety, which is the very first and foremost important thing with any clinical trial or any drug whatsoever, biological product or medical device. Safety is the first thing, and we have to be very, very clear on this, that if treatment is not safe, then it is not worth going on ahead. And followed by safety, efficacy should be the second important thing, and potential risk of new drugs are there with all the therapies and medical devices. So we have to be very careful while planning a clinical trial, that it should be very, very well designed and had a robust supervision regarding the safety and efficacy. And clinical trial is going to play a very important role in shaping the future of healthcare, as we all know, because clinical trial hold enormous potential for benefiting patient, improving therapeutic regime, and ensuring advancement in medical practice, which should be evidence based. So here it is a slide where we can see the discovery and development part of a drug, and there are different domains. Like the very first is strategic research, where we discover the target, in which we have to validate and identify the target. Followed by that, we have to go into the second domain, which is called exploratory research. In this, we do hit generation and lead identification by various assay development or hit to lead kind of activity. Followed by that, we have to go for the candidate drug selection, which incorporates optimization of lead and animal models, because before going into the clinical trials we have to check the safety and efficacy in the animal model, and by developing the similar kind of disease which humans have. For example, if we are going to test a drug which is going to reduce the blood sugar level, then we have to generate an animal model which is diabetic, and then we will see the impact of the drug in that animal model, whether it is reducing the blood sugar level or not in the animal. Then if it is doing there, then we will proceed with the clinical trials. So clinical trials has various phases: phase 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And later on, FDA approvals are taken, and thus the whole thing moves on. If we talk about only the developmental phase, like clinical trials and FDA review, and how many years it takes. So from the drug discovery point to the FDA approval, it takes approximately 15 years. And approximately 1 or 2 drug will get approval if we start screening from approximately 10,000 compounds. So this is the level of involvement of different phases, and this shows how robust should be a clinical trial, so that what the 1 or 2 drugs we are getting out of that 10,000 compounds has an impact over the patient and the treatment guidelines, whatever is running in at that point in time. And as we have discussed in the last slide, that approximately it will take 10 to 15 years, and preclinical studies there, then clinical studies there, various clinical phases and trial phases are there. So it becomes a very costly affair. So sometimes what is we have seen in different cases that some transparency or accountability or accessibility is not there, what is required for the clinical trial to establish the public trust in the clinical trial data. So now, as we know that we are practicing evidence-based medicine, so in that case we are not supposed to give only selective information, but all the detailed information regarding the molecule, from molecule stage to the drug stage, has to be submitted to the regulatory authorities and taken and later on dispersed with the public domain. So now coming to the steps of clinical trial, it starts from a hypothesis where we plan something like a drug which is going to lower down the blood sugar level or blood pressure. So in that case, we have to include what methods we are going to do to test the hypothesis. And then we will frame study objectives, study design, and study rationale. Followed by that, patient recruitment should be there as per the study population. And what study population refers to, that for example, if we are going for a clinical trial to develop a medicine which is going to lower the blood pressure, then in that case we have to enroll those patients who are suffering from hypertension, and this will comprise our study population. Followed by that, sample size should be there so that our study should be valid and credible and in a particular duration of study. Followed by that, while engaging the patient, we have to go for informed consent from the patient. And as we know that there was a tragedy happened in 1962, thalidomide tragedy, which we all know, and that has led to the Keffer-Harris Amendment, and which has given the oversight of drug testing and inclusion of informed consent with the clinical trials. So these kind of legal acts has also been developed in the previous time, which has to be taken care of while planning any clinical trial. After that, we have to do safety monitoring. As I have told in the previous slide also, that safety is the first and very foremost important thing which has to be related with clinical trial. And in this safety monitoring, we have to report adverse drug reactions, adverse events, and not only reporting, but management also is a part of this clinical trial, that whatever patient we are enrolling, we have to consider their adverse events and their management also. And after that, we have to do the statistical analysis when the result has been with us. So how important that data is will be analyzed, and how it is going to support our objective of the study will be revealed after doing statistical analysis. So coming to the phases of clinical trial, it is phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I have said that there are some other phases also, like phase 0 and phase 5. But let's focus on first these 4 phases. Then we will talk about phase 0 and phase 5 also. So phase 1, if we talk about phase 1, the focus is on assessment of safety, tolerability of the doses, and what should be the dose to be given to the patient. And the participants in this phase is always a small group of healthy volunteers, because we are going to test the safety and tolerability. We are nothing to do, this phase has nothing to do with the efficacy. So we have to enroll healthy volunteer in this phase. And phase 1 has 2 other components also, like phase 1A and phase 1B. And in that phase 1A and phase 1B, we have to monitor safety and side effects by giving single ascending dose. And phase 1B, that several group of participants will receive different dose to of the same medicine. Now coming to the phase 2, phase 2 has focus on to evaluation of efficacy and gather additional safety data. And participants are patients with the condition of interest. Condition of interest refers to those patients who are going to be a part of that clinical trial according to the study population. Phase 2 again can be divided in phase 2A and phase 2B. So phase 2A is to ascertain how much dose of how much dose is optimal for result and safety. And the phase 2B is for effectiveness, to ascertain the effectiveness of the dose. Now coming to the phase 3. Phase 3 focus is on confirming the effectiveness, which we have taken in the phase 2 also, and monitors side effects and compare the new developing treatment with the standard treatment available in the clinical scenario as that point in time. And in this phase, phase 3 is basically extension of phase 2. Phase 2, in this we have gathered the evaluated the efficacy in small number of population, and which has to be taken care in the phase 3 at large scale. And participants are large scale patient groups across multiple locations. So in this phase 3, we have to do a multi-center trial, enrolling as much patient as we can at different locations. And this again is also divided in 2 phases, phase 3A and phase 3B. Phase 3A refers to capturing more information on safety and effectiveness, and then after that we can go to we can file a new drug application with the regulatory authorities to get the permission. And phase 3B evaluate long-term safety and effectiveness, and in some cases they also evaluate some additional therapeutic benefit which can be achieved by different doses or formulations, and comparison with the alternatives available. Now coming to the phase 4, this is called as post-marketing. So this post-marketing, why it is called as post-marketing, is because after the results of phase 3B stage has been taken, and we have got the approval from the regulatory authority, we get the marketing authorization to market the medicine. And after the drug is in the market, it will be used for all the patients, and we have more number of participants, and the data is very, very crucial at that point in time, because in clinical trial we have evaluated that safety and efficacy in a small population compared to the phase 4, because in phase 3 we can enroll up to 10,000 or 15,000 of the patient, or max to 20,000, but in phase 4, when it comes into the post-marketing surveillance phase, it goes a higher number of patients, thousands, lakhs of patients are there. So in that point in time, we can monitor long-term safety and effectiveness in real-world setting. Now coming to the phase, some phases which I have not mentioned here, like phase 0 and phase 5. So phase 0 is basically called as an exploratory trial, and it is not mandatory as of now to start with the phase 0 trial in all the clinical trials, but those clinical trials where cancer trials are going on, exploratory trials are demanded by the some regulatory authorities. And in this we used to check the pharmacokinetics of the drug, and in this phase we give 100 microgram or 1 by 100th of the adult dose which we are planning to go ahead with the phase 1 trial. So this is about phase 0 trial. And phase 5 trial is something which we called as, and we have seen in the previous few years back during the COVID pandemic, and this phase 5 is known as drug repositioning trial. So in this case, what are the established indications of the drug is we will try to reestablish in other cases also. And because of this phase 5 clinical trial, which is also known as drug repositioning, we have seen a very so many drugs coming into the trial for controlling and treating the COVID pandemic, like hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, doxycycline. These are all evaluated during the clinical trial in the phase 5 clinical trial during the COVID pandemic. So now coming to the benefits of clinical trial. The number first is improved patient outcome. As we all know that there are, with the time, technology is getting developed, so we have better cutting edge therapies available. We can make available to the patient care, and we will, and that new therapies will have better efficacy, effectiveness of the drug, and with reduced side effect, which is always our objective while planning any clinical trial. So this is going to impact the patient's life and saves its monetary as well as non-monetary, provided monetary and as well as non-monetary benefits by improving the quality of the life for the patient. Number 2 is safety and efficacy evaluation. Rigorous testing with new intervention to ensure that they are both safe and effective is also a benefit of the clinical trial. When we plan any new drug or new treatment module, then in that case it is of prime importance. Adverse effects and potential risks are carefully monitored during all the phases, so we have better evaluation of safety and efficacy. Advancement of medical knowledge. As we know that there are some development of, happening across all the fields, either it is IT or medicine or some other field. They are going to provide and help us to get better insight of the disease. Like nowadays, machine learning is there, deep learning is there, artificial intelligence is there. So they are all going to help to advancement of the medical knowledge. Support for personalized medicine. So in this scenario, in this case, what we do is tailoring the treatment for the patient according to their genetic profile, and that will enhance the effectiveness of therapy. This is new thing which is going to have a big role in future also, that personalized medicine will take the preference over the as of now what we are practicing as empirical medicine. Role of clinical trials in public health. And as I said, that it is not only for the benefit of the individual patient, but it's also going to contribute to the public health, which by providing evidence-based solution for global health challenge. What we have seen in COVID-19 also, COVID-19 pandemic also, and in that case, there are several new things are coming one by one, like vaccines and different medicines, and what they have made available at later point in time has contributed to various kind of help to the public health. And not only this COVID pandemic, but also other disease which has been in the past, like cholera and other things. So they have been taken care of by the clinical trials done, and those have impacted on the public health. So they are also going to help in combating emerging disease, improving vaccination strategies, and addressing unmet medical needs, which we have been very familiar with various disease. Clinical trials are also a fundamental component of evidence-based medicine, and which is also going to support by systemic reviews and meta-analysis. So these are the roles which clinical trial can play in the public health domain. Now coming to the challenges. So it's not a very easy thing to plan a clinical trial. So when we are coming to plan going ahead with the clinical trial, then definitely there are some challenges which has to come. The very first is high cost and time intensiveness. So cost and time, these are the very crucial thing in a clinical trial, because if we are getting involved with more of cost, then the medicine which we are going to produce in the market, this medicine will have higher cost as compared to the existing medicine. So this is not desirable, because if we are coming up with some better medicine or some better treatment advancement, then it should be affordable to the public and the masses. And time intensiveness, as we know that if we are up to the schedule and we are following the timeline in a proper way, then in that case also it will take at least 10 to 15 years to develop a drug. And the vulnerability of getting one drug successfully is 1 in 10,000 compound, which we have seen in the last slide. So developing a new treatment can take over decades and billions of dollars, which is going to impact the affordability, accessibility, and availability of medicines. Now coming to the second challenge which we face in clinical trial is recruitment difficulties. So finding eligible and willing participant is often challenging, because there are so many groups. There are some positive people who are who used to favor clinical trials and patient enrollment, but there are some other groups also who are not in the favor of doing clinical trials in human beings because of some ethical or moral issues, and they will have their own agenda, and they will and based on those negative reviews and reports, sometimes participants decline their willingness to participate. Now coming to the ethical considerations, ensuring informed consent and participant safety requires strict adherence to the ethical guidelines. So due to some tragedies happened in the past, there are so many guidelines which are available in clinical trial field, like Helsinki Declaration, Nuremberg Code, and Harris Amendment to take care of these clinical ethical considerations, and all the clinical trials has to meet all these guidelines in letter and spirit. Termination, trial discontinuation, and non-publication of results are prevalent issues. And as we have seen that there are some times what happens, trial get discontinued because of various reasons. Either the development of the new drug or the treatment protocol or the treatment module is not up to the mark which is available in the public domain as that point in time. So what happens, we have sometimes sometimes companies do discontinue the clinical trials, and they don't publish the result in that clinical trial what they have achieved unless it is positive. So challenges always open the door of opportunities. So now recent advances in artificial intelligence, deep learning and machine learning models, which we are dealing with as of now, have the potential to automate the process and streamline the clinical research process, ultimately leading to faster delivery of new treatments and improved patient outcome with less number of risks involved. There are some emerging trial designs also. What is there are three designs I have discussed here, like platform trial, in which we evaluate multiple treatment for a single disease, and this treatment can be added or removed based on the interim result. And basket trial is the another emerging trial design, in which effectiveness of a single drug or intervention has to be tested in multiple disease or conditions, and it is basically helpful in cancer research for targeting specific mutations across various tumor types. And third is umbrella trial, in which we focus on a single disease and tailor it such a way that various subgroups within that disease are covered. For example, in lung cancer, different therapies may be assigned to patients based on their specific biomarkers. And based on that, it will give us a personalized treatment approach, and which is very highly adaptable. Adaptive designs can make clinical trial more flexible by utilizing result accumulating in the trial to modify the trial course in accordance with pre-specified rules. So this adaptive designs are giving us more flexibility to uh, to uh, to make it to design the course as per our wish and the result we are having. Trial with adaptive design are more efficient, informative, and ethical than trials with a traditional fixed design, because in fixed design there are some ethical issues which can either discontinue the trial or have some other impact or other negative impact on the trial. And this adaptive design can be applied across all phases of clinical research, from early phase dose escalation to confirmatory trials. So this is how this traditional fixed sample design is going on. From design, this is the study design, which now here we will conduct the clinical trial, and then result will be analyzed. In case of adaptive design, we design a study based on our objective, and followed by that, once we start conducting the clinical trial and we have some data, we review the data and make the changes required, and then follow the clinical trial as accordingly, and then we have the data to analyze, and which will be later on processed. Now coming to the clinical trial registration. As we all know that clinical trials are going to happen with some positive results, with some clinical trials have some negative results. So in this case, for example, a pharmaceutical company, why he or she why they will come up with some negative trials and publish the negative result. So they will hide those things. So in order to take care of those issues, clinical trials are mandated to get registered. And this registration of clinical trial has to be prospectively, means before the enrollment of the first patient participant. Apart from that, after clinical trial has completed, then post-marketing surveillance studies or bioavailability or bioequivalent studies, as well as clinical studies as a part of PG thesis, are also expected to be registered. In India, there is a CTRI. This is Clinical Trial Registry of India, in which we have to enroll whatever clinical trial is going on the very first day before the enrollment of the participant, and that has to be that communication from organization which is going to plan a clinical trial and the Clinical Trial Registry of India has to be continuous, means whatever you are doing you have to communicate, whatever result you are coming up with you have to communicate, and based on that, finally once the trial is going to completed, you have to communicate that clinical trial is completed, now we have the result, and later on it will be dealt with the Clinical Trial Registry and the concerned organization. So this CTRI also provide facility to those countries where they don't have any primary registry of their own, but only with two conditions. Number one is providing ethical approval in English, and the study has not begun enrolling the participants. So this is the regulatory functions in the clinical trial phase, new drug approval phase, manufacturing phase, distribution and sales phase, post-marketing surveillance phase, and we all see that regulatory functions start from the application online in the clinical trial registry, approval of applications, good clinical practices, inspections of the sites of the clinical trial, registration of ethics committee, and serious adverse event reporting and management. And once the new drug approval has been there, then committee will deliberate on its drug application for marketing license, and import of new drugs is also taken care of. Manufacturing, while manufacturing we have to follow the good manufacturing practices as per the WHO Schedule M, and distribution and sales has to be taken care of while getting in details of good distribution practices, inspection of good distribution practices, and grant of license to distribute and sell. And later on, post-marketing surveillance will take its play its part, and will submit the marketing, the company which has got the marketing authorization, they have to submit periodic safety update report for their drugs. So if we talk about Indian drug regulatory system, it was originated in 1940, and two acts, Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940 and the Pharmacy Act 1948, are considered as the mother of regulatory system development in India. And based on those, and there are some amendments time and again has happened to incorporate those changes with time. And Pharmacy Act 1948, if we discuss, then it has to there to frame an educational structure, maintenance of central registration, and recognize the qualification granted outside the country. So these two acts are the mother of all regulatory system in India, and every thing which has to go through the regulatory system has to complete these two acts. Now coming to the theme of the today's session, which is rethinking clinical trial. Basically, rethinking clinical trial is a program which was created in 2014 for the cancer trials conducted in Canada. And this rethinking clinical trial REACT program has rigorous methodology of surveying the patients and targeting the patient and healthcare providers. They have targeted not just different type of cancers, but also different surgical, pathological, and radiological approaches, as well as adjuvant radiotherapy and systemic treatment and other options which are available to the cancer patients. A potential trial which has been taken, this point has been taken care by the REACT program, should be pragmatic, evaluate a setting in which there is clinical equipoise, means it is relevant to conduct the trial in that particular clinical condition or not, and whether it is going to help us to achieve the objective or not. Use an integrative consent model, require no additional visits or test over and above the standard of care. So this is to help the patient to get to continue their enrollment, because if they have to come for additional visits or tests, then they can miss out some visits, and they can feel demotivated while getting registered for a clinical trial. And make use of broad eligibility criteria. Additional data collection outside of standard practice should be limited in order to protect the privacy and the data of the patient. The trial must aim to improve patient care and resources, and all these features that our trials are highly relevant to clinical practice are performed efficiently, meaning that they are on time and on budget. So this is the various domains which we have to take care while planning any REACT future trials, like machine learning models has to be used, use of administrative data set or dose optimization trials, and family and patient involvement. As we know that the coming era will be the era of artificial intelligence. Machine learning is a part of that artificial intelligence, and there are various models out of which decision tree and artificial neural networks are very common machine learning model which are being used to process the various information captured during the clinical trial and determine the relationship between various points in a data set. Now coming to the Patient and Family Advisory Council. So this is one concept of a REACT program which engages patient and their loved one, and they survey them to understand which clinical question matter to them and the trial endpoint that they consider to be most critically important for the patient. Traditional approach to patient follow-up for clinical trial has some limitation, like occurrence of events which are rare, and thus large sample size are required. So routine monitoring for events translate to increasing staff time and study cost, which is not desirable in order to control the prices of the medicine. These repeated follow-up visits also burden patients and can negatively impact their quality of life, as discussed in the last slide, that what are the desirables of a pragmatic clinical trial. And dose reduction or lower dosing intervals also play a very important role, because once we administer at a medicine at a lower dose and with less frequent less frequency, and we are getting better efficacy and or the equivalent efficacy, then it is more desirable. React program is also going to ensure that study findings are integrated in clinical practice guidelines. So whatever we are getting the data and the result of a clinical trial, whether it is React program or some other, we have to engage those results with the local and national organizations so that it can impact the policy makers and patient advocacy organization so that they can be incorporated in clinical practice very easily. This will also enhance visibility and the international impact, and it will help accrual in a timeline manner. So to avoid the administrative burden of regulatory requirement posed by different countries, one potential model of collaboration will help all these countries to have the same trial open and independently managed in other country. And once the data once the study is completed, all the data can be combined. So as we know that healthcare is basically a very complex and expensive affair. So care providers, researchers, administrators, payers, regulators, and the public has to agree that the provision of medical care should be informed by high quality scientific evidence regarding the risk and benefits of the treatment, which is the very foremost important thing while planning a clinical trial. And there are various barriers to performing a clinical trial, and what is this Rethinking clinical trial program has created that they have overcome these barriers by comparing standard of care intervention. So clinical trial must reflect the communities that are most impacted by a disease or condition. It should identify the barriers to clinical trial enrollment for underrepresentation because of any reason, either it is ethnicity, race, age, disability, or something related with geographical location. Incorporating innovative strategies, training, education, and communication methods to increase clinical trial enrollment. Increasing training opportunity for diverse clinical trial investigators and other researchers. Trials should be very, very representative of all the age group, sex, and geographical distribution of patient. They have to be very, very robust understanding of variation in disease so that data collection and data quality should be improved. And it has to be ultimately credible in science and in the community. So now this slide is showing the barriers to clinical trial participation and their solution also. So in this red boxes, these are the barriers, and the green boxes are going to provide solution. So if we talk about the access to the clinical trial participation, the barriers are opportunity cost, transportation, caregiver burden, and work. So this has to be taken care by providing transportation vouchers or transportation facilities to the participants, and extending some clinical hours so that the work of the participant or the work profile of the participant should not get compromised. Second is awareness. So how much contact a healthcare system has with the population they are capturing or tendering their services. Language, health literacy, and the research literacy among the clinical trial participants or the participants which are going to be a part of clinical trial. So increasing awareness is a very important thing to enroll more and more number of participants in a clinical trial. So using translators based on the local language the participant is habitual of speaking, educating the patients, and sending ambassadors who are very good in research kind of activity. Number 3 is racism. In this, interpersonal, structural, and institutional racism can be there, and what we have to do is training and investing in the communities. So if we are planning for a clinical trial which is going to enroll a particular community or particular tribe, and they are little bit resistant to that participation, then we have to take care of those things also and train and invest the community so that participation should increase. Now coming to the workforce diversity. So lack of coordination and lack of coordinator diversity is going to impact the clinical trial participation from the participants. So cultural competence and hiring racially and ethnically diverse staff is going to help us in that scenario. And a few days back, I was scrolling through a video and I got to see that in New Zealand, a police chief was appointed, and when he visited to a local police station, that police personnel posted there were belonging to a particular tribe, and they welcomed that their chief in such a way in to reflect their cultural diversity, that the police chief does not have any idea about that what kind of people they are serving under his command. So this kind of things like racially and ethnically diverse staff is going to help everyone, not only in those domain but also in clinical trial participations. Now coming to the conclusion for the today's session, as we know that clinical trials are indispensable, because if we are going to transform our healthcare system, clinical trials are bound to happen. New interventions always have to be safe, effective, and beneficial for the patient to so that they can be successful and they can be successfully incorporated in the treatment domain, and which will also help us to increase our understanding for the medical science. Clinical trials they are always to follow a structured process so that the result we are incorporating and publishing should be accurate, reliable, and applicable to the real world healthcare setting. By participating in and supporting clinical trial, we are going to contribute a healthier, more innovative future for all, not only for the specific group of patients. And these innovative designs should optimize resource use and accelerate data collection so that the budget and timeline should be met up, and it should, if it is before than that the scheduled time, it will be good for all. So thank you very much for listening patiently for this clinical trial presentation, and I would request to all of you that be part of research in whatever capacity you can. So these were the references. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rai, for your insightful and thoroughly detailed presentation. It was a privilege to learn from your expertise, and your contributions have added immense value to our understanding of clinical trials. Now, I'd like to call Dr. Saurabh Kose for his vote of thanks. Please, sir.
On this occasion of International Clinical Trial Day, and I'm thankful you have taken, sir, time out of your really busy schedule to deliver this talk on the theme Rethinking Clinical Trials, Inclusivity in the Practice. I'm thankful to the management of ISF College of Pharmacy, Director, sir, Principal, sir, and Dr. Madhav Dwivedi, sir, particularly to take onus to organize this meaningful session. This talk was being done under the umbrella of SPORE student chapter, our president Kamal, and all the office bearers. So thank you, sir, once again for joining and giving your precious time out of your busy schedule. Definitely, this talk will be helpful for our budding clinical research students, particularly in pharmacy practice and PharmD. You have enlightened various recent aspects of clinical trials like CTRI, then REACT, and various terminologies, new clinical trial rules. So, sir, our students will definitely take this session from YouTube and come with new possibilities. And in person, definitely, sir, we want to conduct some conference on clinical research and pharmacovigilance. So I request you to come in person and enlighten our all students with your thorough knowledge in pharmacotherapeutics and pharmacology. So it was a pleasure having you, sir. Once again, thank you, one and all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining.